Hi folks, so I've gotten this question quite a few times from people who are either new to bonsai or unfamiliar with bonsai. And the question is, what do I do with my bonsai trees over the winter? In this video, I'm going to give some reasons why you might want to provide your bonsai with some protection over winter, and also describe what I do with my bonsai trees over the winter. So I live in USDA plant hardiness zone 6B, meaning that my 1991 to 2020 average annual minimum temperature is -5 to 0 degrees Fahrenheit. So what I'm sharing in this video is most applicable to other climates similar to mine that experience sub-freezing temperatures. So first I'll just get what are often called tropical trees out of the way. So for trees that can experience sub-freezing temperatures below 0 degrees Celsius for extended periods of time, I do keep those inside during the winter. So my ficuses, schefflera, chrysolas, portulacarias, pelargonium, I do bring those inside during the winter. My rule is when temperatures start to drop below 40 degrees Fahrenheit, I'll move them back inside. And then when the trees then start to warm up in the spring to above 45 degrees Fahrenheit, I'll move them out. And that's just my general temperature rule. I know people have different rules that they follow, but generally anywhere between 32 degrees Fahrenheit freezing to 50 degrees Fahrenheit is when many people move their tropicals either outside in the summer or inside for the winter. So now on to species that are adapted to sub-freezing temperatures, meaning they can tolerate temperatures below 0 degrees Fahrenheit, and in most cases even require temperatures that are cold to go dormant. And most of my trees fall in this category. So cedars or thujas, maples, larches, spruces, hemlock, oaks, pines, hornbeam, yew, all these trees fall into this category. You do not want to bring these trees inside during winter. That's very important. If you did that, eventually these trees without that rest period would die. Definitely the best way or a good way to kill small juniper bonsai that are often sold as indoor trees is to keep it inside year round. Without dormancy, eventually this tree will die. So it's best to keep it outside so it can get cold. So these temperate tree species that require cold temperatures and dormancy, each species is different and can withstand different levels of cold. So in the United States, when you buy a plant at a garden center, it often comes with a tag. And on this tag, this is my most recent acquisition, a Katoni. This tag often has cold hardiness information on it. So this tag gives zone 2 as the cold hardiness of this Katoni, meaning this plant is very cold hardy. So I could plant it in USDA zone 2 or above, including my USDA zone 6 backyard here, and it would do just fine. However, the big caveat with this as it relates to bonsai and keeping plants in pots is this tag is assuming that you're going to plant this in the ground. Or in other words, the tag is giving you the top hardiness of the plant, not the root hardiness. And there's a big difference between top hardiness and root hardiness. So why is there a difference between top cold hardiness and root cold hardiness? Basically the answer is because trees are, adapted to growing in the ground. So let's consider this tree in a park near my home. So this tree, the top of it has experienced a wide range of temperatures over the past year. Temperatures as low as -15 degrees Fahrenheit and as high as about 100 degrees Fahrenheit. Now let's think about the roots. The roots have experienced a much smaller range of temperatures. I couldn't tell the exact range, but I know that it's a smaller range than what the top of the trees experience. That is because first, of course, the roots are insulated by the earth, and then second, the earth is radiating heat. So the roots of trees, they are not designed or adapted to experience the wide range of temperatures that the tops of trees can experience. So now let's consider this bonsai tree. So just like the tree planted in the ground, the top of this tree can withstand big fluctuations in temperature, and it's adapted to do that. But in bonsai, we take the tree that's meant really to be planted in the ground and put it in a pot, often a small pot. And in this pot, the roots are not nearly as insulated as they would be in the ground. And so they're subject to much bigger temperature extremes. And roots really aren't designed to experience these extreme differences in temperature. In his book, Bonsai Heresy, Michael Hagedorn explains this fact and gives an excellent table on page 87 showing the different top hardiness and root hardiness temperatures for species that are commonly used in bonsai. The book is full of great information, but this table alone is perhaps worth the cost. And when you look at this table, two things become apparent to me. First, that like I just stated, top hardiness is much different than root hardiness. The tops of trees can experience much lower temperatures than the roots of trees. And then second, number two, is that each species is different. So in cold climates like mine, it's a good idea to protect your bonsai roots from cold temperatures. Here's a few tips and what I do to protect my trees. First tip is know your species. So I know that many of the trees that I grow back behind me are adapted to cold temperatures and can withstand fairly low winter temperatures. So I don't have to worry as much about winter protection for those species that are especially cold hardy. But that's not true of all species. Some species are more susceptible to the cold. So take this larch. I don't worry about this tree too much in my climate because this larch's roots can handle temperatures down to 0 degrees Fahrenheit. So I keep this tree out on my bench for quite a while each year and only provide protection in the most extreme cold temperatures. This Katoni Aster, however, is a different story. So its roots are only cold hardy down to about 22 degrees Fahrenheit. So as temperatures start to drop below freezing, I do start to provide protection for this tree. Second, use the ground. So you can either place your bonsai on the ground or even bury them in the ground. And this will insulate your roots of your bonsai from cold winter temperatures. Here's my grow bed where I keep a lot of my bonsai to be. Along these same lines, snow can be your friend too. Snow acts like an insulating blanket for bonsai roots and plants. One caution though about planting especially maybe your expensive bonsai in the ground is, this hasn't happened to me, but I've heard quite a bit about rodent damage which can occur to trees that are planted in the ground. So mice and voles get hungry in the winter and they can actually nibble on the bases of your trees. So one thing to be aware of when putting bonsai in the ground. Third, use covered areas like cold frames, sheds, garages if you have them. This allows you to control the environment of your bonsai more. It can protect your bonsai from rain and moisture because dormant trees often, it's not good to keep those roots constantly moist from rain. So when you put them underneath a roof, you can control the amount of moisture received. Second, structures can also protect your bonsai from drying winter winds that can kill branches. Fourth, beware of cold snaps. So although many of these trees out here are adapted to very cold temperatures and can withstand pretty cold temperatures, that's really only when they're fully asleep for the winter. So take this larch again, for example. Its roots can withstand temperatures down to 0 degrees Fahrenheit. However, that is in the dead of winter when it's fully dormant, fully asleep. If it experienced those temperatures now, it could be really detrimental to the tree. Because these trees haven't really seen temperatures much below freezing yet this year. We just had a few nights where they've dropped below freezing. So if the temperature suddenly plunged down 10, 20 degrees Fahrenheit from what it's been, these trees could be damaged because they're not fully dormant. And so in my climate, that's actually pretty common. I've done this a few times in the late fall, especially when temperatures are forecasted just plummet down quickly. I'll take these trees and I will put them in my shop for the night, if it's just going to be one really cold night. Or even I'll put them into my attached garage for the night so that they don't experience those cold temperatures really suddenly. You want these trees to just gradually cool down and just slowly go dormant. So I use all these strategies: placing on the ground, snow, putting in my garages. The ideal range that a lot of bonsai hobbyists shoot for is keeping their trees in the 32 degrees Fahrenheit to 40 degrees Fahrenheit range. This ensures that the tree stay dormant, but doesn't risk those sub-freezing temperatures that can kill roots. The temperature range that I shoot for is a little wider, more like 20 degrees to 40 degrees Fahrenheit. And so I have an advantage in that I have both an unattached garage as well as an attached garage. And I have a grow bed that I use in the winter. And so by utilizing these three different areas, I can keep my roots in those temperatures above 20 degrees, but keep them also below 40. So what I do is when it gets extremely, for the most part, I leave them out on the benches or in my unattached, unheated garage. But then when those outside temperatures get extremely low, like 15 degrees Fahrenheit and below, I will bring my trees, often they're in the unattached garage, into my attached garage, which stays warmer than my unattached garage because it's attached to my house. And that way, I've found that garage stays around freezing when temperatures are extremely cold. I do try not to move my trees too much because what you really don't want to do is freeze, thaw, freeze, thaw, freeze, thaw. It's okay to let your pots freeze a little bit, I do, but that cycle freeze, thaw can be especially harmful to roots. So there you have it, folks. That's what I do with my bonsai over the winter. Mostly as it relates to protecting bonsai roots from cold winter temperatures. I haven't touched much on watering bonsai in the winter. I plan to cover that in a future video. So until next time, happy bonsaiing.